What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Week 6 Fantasy Football Pregame Show here at Fantasy and Frames. I'm your host, Jorge Edwards. And with me, we got the usual crew here. We got Tyler Heil. Tyler, how's it going?
Oh, wonderful. I'm just sorting through some weekly rankings here.
Very nice. Nate Markham, how you guys doing? How you doing, Nate?
I'm good. I'm a little tired.
You're awake.
Okay.
You're awake.
I have woken. It is Sunday. Both things are positives.
Very nice. Jonathan Klonowski, how are you doing over in the UK, my friend?
Yeah, not bad. I've been awake for hours. But yeah, no. Last 2 weeks been at the London games, which have been good fun. But it's nice to be back with you guys on a Sunday.
Very nice. And for the newest sensation here at Fantasy and Frames, we got Les. How you doing, my friend? You're all muted also.
I'd say he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, let me unmute you there for a second.
Oh, sorry, that was me. Hey, it's good to be back, y'all. No, hey, I have myself muted, man. But hey, good to see y'all, man. Let's get rolling.
Hashtag We Are Texans are not playing this week, though. If they were, I'd be all Damian Pierce. Yay. All right, as we do every week, we are going to go through every single game, answer some questions about, what do we think about this game? What do you think about the players that are fantasy relevant in this game, both on offense and defense? And by defense, I mean IDP. And, of course, answer all of your start and sit questions. So you can find us on the Facebook, on the YouTube, and pretty soon on Twitter. But for some reason, the Twitter feed is not acting correctly. So for right now,
with it.
Yeah. So for right now, it is Facebook and YouTube for the time being. So, of course, get your start sit questions answered or asked, and we will answer them to the best of our abilities. Nate, why don't we start off with the San Fran Atlanta game? Let's break that one down. This should be a barn burner, right? Yeah? No? Yeah?
You know what? I actually think it will be. I think it's going to be. So here's a question I have. The Vegas odds makers, pretty smart people, correct?
I think they know what they're doing, yeah.
They have the over-under at 45.5, which is, I believe, the fifth highest of the slate, if I'm not.
That's pretty high, yeah.
Exactly. So what are we missing? Well, I know what we're missing. We're missing pretty much everybody on the San Francisco defense, and that in itself is going to lend Atlanta to being able to potentially move the ball. Potentially. It's a big potentially. There's a, it's gross with Atlanta, but I mean, what do you guys think? You think 45 is just 45.5 is a crazy number that's unattainable, and it's only a 4-point spread for San Francisco, so it's not like it's a 10.5 like the Rams, where it's all going to be LA scoring. They're expecting Atlanta to put up some numbers.
That's the thing. Like, do you really expect them to take their foot off the gas and let Atlanta get garbage time productivity? I don't know. Like they didn't do that against the Rams. I don't know. Les, what do you think? You're muted again. Nope. Wait, here we go. You are muted. I can't unmute you. You have to.
Dude, oh man. Hey, yeah, give me a couple minutes and I get back.
Newbie. Okay.
I'd actually take the under on that. Atlanta looked really. They lost the game against the Bucks, but they actually were pretty solid. So I don't see them getting blown out. I don't know. I take the under on that.
We got a question already from Super CNB Challengers. He says got a question for Eno Benjamin or Ken Walker this week, both in the same game. Oh, man. Walker, but for me, just because I don't trust the defensive linebackers for the Cardinals to really do much in the way of stopping anyone.
You trust the Seahawks defense to?
I trust them to make tackles. I trust them to make tackles more than I do Arizona. Both are not great options. Both. Put it another way. Both defenses are not, for real football purposes, great options. For IDP purposes, I love Seattle's defense more than I do Arizona's, but that's not the question. I love Benjamin in this week. I think he's going to get a ton of volume. No Connor, no Darrell Williams. But Ken Walker, he's been touted for being the guy for a very good reason. Anybody else have a differing opinion?
No, I think he's the more talented back, and I think they're probably going to see a similar sort of workload. I mean, I love Benjamin this week, but yeah, I'm betting on the talent with Walker. I think
I'm betting on the actual amount of possession and opportunities that Arizona has. Personally, I think Arizona has a better chance to. I mean, you have a team that's what are they, second or third in total plays? Ball could filter through Benjamin. And it's PPR, and I'm not doubting Ken Walker's pass catching ability, but I definitely know Benjamin has good pass catch ability, and I think that might be my separation is just the total receptions, and it's gonna be. I think it's probably close at the end of the week, but I lean just a little towards Benjamin, which is hard. I mean, Ken Walker's a sexy, fun name that everybody wants to put in their lineup, and Benjamin's there by default because of injuries,
right?
But
Benjamin has been a relatively prominent part of their offense all season. He's been their pass catching back. He's been the change of pace back. He's not just some random that's being thrown into a lot of volume. He's been a part of this offense. He just happens to be the only healthy running back this week. And funny enough, I have them back to back in my rankings at 14 and 15 currently, because it's a rough week for running backs, man. Bad matchups across the board. Just people are injured. It's not very pretty out there.
And Tyler, could you tell the people out there where exactly you rank in running back rankings for the season over at Fantasy Pros' expert consensus ranking competition?
I am 12th overall in the running back rankings. Let's leave it at that.
Over out of hundreds, hundreds of people, he's 12th overall, folks. So get your running back questions in the Tyler. He'll get them going as soon as possible. We got another question here from Super CNB Challengers. Pick 2 PPR: Mike Williams, Pittman, Kirk. PPR, give me Kirk.
Oh God,
I'll be right back.
So challenging of a question that Nate's like, you know what? I'm out. I can't. It's too much. Les, what do you think here, man?
I definitely like Mike Williams with Keenan Allen out. Before you said Kirk, I immediately was like Mike Williams and Pittman. But I'll stick with that. I like Mike Williams and Pittman.
What about you, Jonathan? I'm sorry.
I think I'd probably go the same. I mean, I think Mike Williams is the definite for me. That's the one that I think, as Les said, with Allen out, I think he's going to be the guy that will see the volume. Pittman and Kirk, it's a toss up for me. I personally would go Pittman, but definitely.
Got one more question from CNB Challengers. Oslo with Firemuth out. Who's my best option? Hayden Hurst, Irv Smith, Schultz, Ingram, Conklin, Tanyan, Disley.
Oh.
So here's the thing. I've been for years a fan of Will Disley. What I'm not a fan of is his 3 max targets a game. It just so happens there was a stretch during the season where like one of those 3 targets was for 30 yards and a touchdown, or two of those targets were for 30 yards and a touchdown. So, very touchdown dependent there in Seattle. Man, that is a tough one. But I like what the Bengals are doing with incorporating Hayden Hurst the past few weeks. You saw him against Baltimore, and you saw him the week previously against Miami. I think I'd lean Hayden Hurst less.
Out of those, I'd go Hayden Hurst only because I think like Higgins might not be playing. He's certainly trending down. So off of that, I'd go Hurst. Other than that, I like Ingram. He'll have a game like you said with Will Disley. He'll get like 3 targets, but if you look at his stats, he can get 8-10 targets in a game. So if you made me pick out of all these, Hayden and then Ingram next. I think Conklin's dust.
Yeah, so I'm there with you, man. Evan Ingram would be up there. Hayden Hurst is tops for me just because of, Higgins played last week, but he didn't play. He played 16% of snaps. I'm not trusting it. I'm benching Higgins wherever I possibly can. Evan Ingram, I mean, he's essentially their wide receiver too. And Marvin Jones Jr. is out this week. So I believe he's going to get a lot of volume once again. I mean, Zay Jones played last week, had 80% of snaps. Ingram played 75. He's been right around 70. His volume has been dependent upon people not playing. So, I mean, I think you can't really go wrong in this tight end landscape with Hurst or with Evan Ingram.
Sounds good. We got a question here on Facebook. Andre is asking, trade for Myers and give up Edmonds. Mostert might not
last much longer.
Last much longer. Injuries. Thank you very much. Man.
Smash.
Yeah.
He's seen consistent targets. He's like whenever he's on the field, he's seeing consistent targets. He's actually scoring touchdowns now, which is a minor miracle. So yeah, I mean, obviously it kind of depends on the scoring format, how your bench looks. But Edmonds just isn't like Mostert is the clear running back one there, and I think even if he went down, they would probably bring someone else in. I think they still got Sony Michel there. Oh no, did Sony Michel go somewhere else?
The Chargers. Yeah. He's with the Chargers.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I think they would bring someone else in to kind of with Edmonds. I don't think they'd give him the workload like we're seeing most have. So yeah, I'd go Myers certainly if you need a wide receiver as well.
Yeah, Chase Edmonds is out, man. They completely lost faith in him. Myles Gaskin played more snaps than Chase Edmonds last week.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, if for some reason Mostert does not play, Gaskin probably available on your waiver wire. You may want to think about that and stay tuned to the news. So thanks for the question, Andre. Speaking of news, let's go through a little bit of news before we continue on with these games here. Tyler, you did such a great job putting together our list of news topics for today. I'd be remiss if we didn't go through any of these. You want to take us through some of these?
Sure. So just quickly, the summary of players that are out before we dive into some of the other questionable things. Sure. Tua is out. Pat Freiermuth is out. Jarvis Landry is out. Michael Thomas is out. Chris Olave is out. Rashad Bateman is out. Kenny Golladay is out. Kadarius Toney is out. Christian Watson is out. James Conner is out. Darrell Williams is out. Cam Akers is out.
Good Lord.
That's a lot of players. And I had to throw notable defensive players on here that are out because you plan some of these starts based off the defense that they're playing. And Minkah Fitzpatrick and Cam Sutton are out. And Minkah has been Cameron Hayward. One of the only good players on that Steelers defense, and now they're down their star safety and their quarterback. I mean, the Bucs are going to destroy them. Marshawn Lattimore is out, so he's been the scary part of the Saints defense.
I think that might be not.
Somebody from beyond the other realm is talking because we can't see Nate Markham, but it sure sounded like Nate Markham.
That was not me.
Wait, who was that?
I just put my headphones on and heard that, and I was like, "What the hell's that?"
Nice. I'm sorry, Tyler. Continue, please.
Oh, good. Jadeveon Clowney and Denzel Ward are out, so a bad Browns defense just got worse. So fire up your Ramandre Stevenson, fire up your Jacoby Myers.
Stevenson is in an unbelievable position this week. I mean, the Browns have been really poor against the run. Damian Harris out. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Amazing position for him now.
Yes, he is a must play.
What do we got in terms of regular news going around the league for people to keep an eye on?
Regular news wise, we've got Cam Akers, that weird situation. It seems that he's going to be traded or disappear from the Rams sooner or later. They're talking about a possible CMC trade from the Panthers. Do you guys think that'll happen?
I didn't until, you know what? The only thing that makes me think a little more, not optimistic, but intrigued is when Adam Schefter tweets it out that they're interested. When Hank from Raleigh goes, "Yep, rumor has it they're getting to trade CMC." I take that about as much as I would be with breaking news.
Sorry, Hank.
No, quit putting out shit, Hank. You liar. You know anything? Try to lead us on. and gets and I don't know if it's not really a Hank, but you get the idea, and he'll get 2,000 comments. Jonathan puts out perfectly data-filled information with relevant stats, and it backs it up. And there's 3 thumbs up and 2 comments, and 1 person calling him an idiot. Probably that's the normal ratio. 1 to 3.
Cool. Yeah. No. So just one more thing to talk about here, or a couple things I should say. Olave out. Saints wide receivers fade. I think I'm not saying anything too profound here. Mac Jones probably out. Okay, cool. We already said Ramandre Stevenson show. No Jonathan Taylor, no Naeem Hines. Did everybody go up and get Dion Jackson in their leagues when they had the opportunity to yesterday?
No.
Bill beat me to it in our staff league. I was really annoyed. I saw the notification. I was wanting to do it, but I was busy. Saw the notification. Yeah.
That sucks, man, when you get that. Same thing with Mike Boone over there. Melvin Gordon might not be playing Monday night. So
yep. That's what do you call it? Our own Zach Berger, aka FF Chalupa Batman, wrote about him in our Fantasy Football Upside article, which you can check over at Fantasy and Frames before kickoff, fantasyandframes.com. One more thing here. Dak Prescott. What's going on with Dak Prescott here, Tyler?
So he is out again this week. They're essentially going to make him inactive, but what they're saying is he has to get in a full practice really by Wednesday to even be considered for next week. So it doesn't sound like it's a guarantee that he's coming back next week.
Yeah. So why didn't they put him on IR from the beginning? I don't know.
Because Dr. Jerry said he'd be back in 3 weeks.
Yeah, we got a comment here from Fantasy Dog on YouTube. Hey, my friend, subscribed and liked. Good morning. Good morning to you, and thank you very much. He also got Dion Jackson. I believe that's what he's referring to, and he's starting Mike Boone and Jackson this week. Very nice. Awesome. Thanks for joining the show, man.
Hey, that's good. Hey, that's good stuff there, Fantasy Dog, man.
What a world we're living in when we're kind of excited about playing those 2 players in week 6.
No, right, exactly. And it's like, well, we're kicking off waiver wire season, or what is it called?
Bye week.
Thank you. Bye week season with a bang. These are the guys we're starting.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you what, I am not excited about playing Dion Jackson this week.
You really?
Well, I mean,
I thought he was pretty productive against Denver like a couple weeks. I mean, volume by default, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you know who else has gotten a lot of volume this year? Jonathan Taylor. He hasn't been very good. So I'm just not excited about that whole Indy offense right now. But division game, AFC South game, anything can happen. These games get weird.
I don't think we should. Last week I think Jackson had something like 17 touches, and Philip Lindsay I think had around 14, 15. So it's not as if he's going to see. He's not going to see all of the carries. I think it'll be split fairly even down the middle between the 2.
Very nice. Let's go to our next game, though. We just finished San Fran and Atlanta. Unless we want to talk about any IDP here. No Michael Walker, linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons. Troy Anderson, Rashaan Evans. Nate, on our show that we do with the people over at Club Fantasy, we are having this conversation. Are you starting Evans? Or are you starting Anderson? And then on Twitter, that conversation topic came up again. Mm-hmm. Where do you lie on this still?
I mean, the one thing with the question like that I think we all know, you're not going to roster both of those 2 players. But if both were 2 available and you wanted to pick one up, I'd probably pick up Anderson. I just feel like that, they're so close to each other overall. I don't have a huge gap in separation, between projected points, in that I would go with Anderson. He's been more targeted, or he's in his, per snaps. He's been targeted 8 times already on the season. So I think that will continue. He's a sure tackler. He's got size. He's got speed. He's not the best in coverage, but that's not always a bad thing, as we keep saying. But I think he's just, I think if you're going to enjoy this game and have fun with it and take an option that would be enjoyable, a little bit less than boring, because Rashaan Evans sucks. I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of Rashaan Evans. I'd lean Trey Anderson. I know that's great commentary. Tell him one person sucks.
I think we need to, and to be fair, we haven't really touched on it this season. Is that this is supposed to be fun? Remember, just to be able to cheer for the players you want to cheer for, and if they have certain fantasy relevance, also that also is a bonus. Richie Grant for the defensive backs for the Falcons. Is he approaching must-start territory for you or not yet?
He has been for the past couple weeks now. I mean, he does everything we want, man. He plays 100% of snaps. He plays the line of scrimmage. He's getting tackles. He's near the lead in solos at the position. It's all you can ask for. And he has, last year the concern with him was he didn't have a position. Bounce to bounce to bounce to bounce. And I don't care how good of an athlete and how smart you are, football IQ's out of the off the charts, et cetera, et cetera. Not having a comfortable position is always going to limit some of your upside as far as I'm concerned. Comfortability plays into that. Unless you're Taysom Hill, and then it doesn't really matter what you do. You're going to score 4 touchdowns a week somehow.
Yeah, somehow. Which, by the way, we need to insert him in one of our lineups, I think. We have him rostered. What about, let's see here, of course, for the 49ers. I used to feel confident in saying, yeah, Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. I don't know, man. I'm kind of like, yeah, Fred Warner can kind of take a backseat, give me Dre Greenlaw, and Talanoa Hufanga at safety. Are you? Do you have faith in Warner that he can turn this around, or?
I mean,
is there a better option out there? I guess you would start with such Fred Warner.
I mean, there are better options. It's hard because Warner's floor is boring and his ceiling hasn't been scraped yet. So he's not really a startable option if it wasn't for the name and the name alone. I mean, his talent does give him the upside, but I don't know if I'd want to start him this week against Atlanta personally. But sometimes bye weeks and everything else, you're gonna probably start Fred Warner.
Tyler, on God's green earth, should anybody be starting Tyler Algier today?
That is a good question, Jorge. And I want to say no, but I mean, he's still
your body's telling you yes. What is this?
He's in a breaking case of emergency flex territory for me.
Okay.
I'd put him somewhere around running back 34, 35, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, people that I would take shots on right around him are like Alexander Madison, someone like that, because he's been involved. He can get touchdowns, but I wouldn't put him anywhere higher than that. Maybe the backup with a shot at a touchdown.
Very cool. And of course, Drake London, I think you should count on a limited ceiling, but definitely the target volume will be there. Is Kyle Pitts out, or he is playing this week?
He's supposed to play. So
that's kind of lowering his ceiling, I think, even more. And then for the 49ers to wrap this up, Jeff Wilson has gone from, for me, for flex to RB2 with upside territory just as long as he's there. And it makes me wonder what's going to happen to Elijah Mitchell when he gets back. All right, let's go to our next game. We got the Patriots. We got the Browns. I think we all know what the Patriots are going to do, and that's going to be, running the ball. And here they have yes, before we get into that furthermore, Fantasy Dog says, Les, appreciate your service, my man. American Hero just saying nice touch. Yes, thank you very much for your service, Les.
Hey, thank you, Fantasy Dog. Thank you, Jorge.
Ramandre Stevenson, yes, he's going to be running the ball a lot. He's very successful when running the ball. Although, did I see on the news section there, Tyler, that Damian Harris has not been ruled out for this game?
Yeah, it's a little weird. I don't know what's going on. They're saying he's going to test it out pregame, but it's still highly unlikely.
Okay. So aside from Ramondre Stevenson for the Patriots, Jonathan, Jacoby Myers, when you think about these offensive weapons for the team, are these the kind of the two big names that you're just like, yeah, if I had to pick offensive players from the Pats, these are the only two I'm going with, or is there somebody else, or what are your thoughts here?
I think, to me, I think they're the only two. I think, as we mentioned before, Myers is seeing consistent targets whenever he's on the field. He's dealt with some injury issues, but if he's on the field, he's seeing targets, and he's turning that into production. So yeah, I think they're the only two for me, really.
And of course, for IDP purposes, for the Pats, Kyle Duggar still a viable option there. I'm really big on Matt Jude on this. You think so? You think Adrian Phillips is going to cut into his time?
I think that you have 3 safeties now. We saw last week is Jabril Peppers saw 30 snaps, and I see. I don't want to say the writing on the wall that they have this rotation, but if that's one indication from 1 week only, that's what we saw, and it dipped into each one of their productions. Adrian Phillips had fantasy scoring because he returned that touchdown, the fumble recovery for a touchdown. Outside of that, I think he had 4 tackles, maybe 5 tackles. So he didn't really even have this huge blow up game. He was saved by the touchdown, and Duggar wasn't. He saw the heavy line of scrimmage snaps, but I worry. And what's that? The old adage: if you have 3 safeties, you don't have one. That probably isn't how that goes. It's probably more that's an offensive position that they talk about. But we're gonna push the onto the IDP side. We're gonna make them start saying that.
Fair enough. I'm a huge Matt Judon fan. Tell me if you've heard that before, Nate.
Yeah.
And yes, he's got his hands full. Matt Judon is an edge rusher for those who are unaware. And he's got his hands full with Jack Conklin this week. But you can't deny what this guy is doing. The pressures have been there. The sacks has been there. He's had a sack in every game, 2 sacks last week. He's a disruptive presence. Sometimes you got to look past the analytics. Sometimes you don't. But this guy seems to be somebody who's matchup proof when it comes to just going after the opposing team's quarterback and making a play. So definitely a fan there. Before we get to the Browns, we have a slew of questions coming in. Somebody by the name of Tyler Heil, first time, long time.
I think it's Heel.
Oh, it's Heel. Tyler Heel. There we go. Zeke, Kirk, Myers, Jeff Wilson, half PPR. Real quick. I'm going Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
All right. That's what I've got. All right, cool.
There we go. Let's go to Nick Thomas on YouTube. Welcome, Nick. Jeff Wilson and Deontay for Mike Williams. That is a lot to give up for Mike Williams. Yeah, I mean,
to me, Deontay's been a little bit. Deontay has been a little bit
stop
undervalued.
Watching the podcast and accept that trade right now.
That's awesome. What were you going to say, Jonathan?
No, I was just going to say that he's been a little bit undervalued. I mean, he's seen double-digit targets in all but one game, I think, this year. So he might not have quite hit the heights that we've seen in recent years. But I think hopefully as Kenny Pickett sort of grows, he'll continue to contribute like we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got a question here again. See here from Ball Glove Blueprint. Already starting Debo at wide receiver 1 PPR. Need to start 2, sit 1. Ayuk, Moore, and or Drake London. Man.
That sucks too, because I want to say Ayuk, but I don't want to have Ayuk and Debo, even though Atlanta. I mean, one of the two is going to get AJ Terrell. And right. I know what I've said about him in terms of how his season started, but he still has lockdown potential.
But is he giving up the touchdowns still like he was earlier in the season?
No, stay the same. He still has 5 allowed, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Man, if this was ever the week for DJ Moore to have an opportunity, this would be that week. I can't do it. I can't do it.
And targets were there.
Why is this week?
He has been a little bit better.
PJ Walker upside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 18 targets last year from Walker. I mean, that's the guy he zeroed in on the most. I mean, for full PPR here, the targets then equals potential receptions. I mean, desperation plays. That's kind of. I don't see PJ Walker being somebody who's going to be scanning the field and trying to get all of his wide receivers into the mix. It's DJ Moore. But I can't trust DJ Moore because again, this is
all right. Let's do it this way.
Okay.
Let's give him an answer. Tyler, which 2?
I'm sitting DJ Moore.
Jorge, who you sitting?
I'm sitting DJ Moore.
Les?
Les is muted again.
I'm sitting Ayuk complete only off of targets. I think DJ Moore gets more targets than Ayuk. But other than that, I could go either way.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I completely agree. That was what I was thinking as well. I'd probably sit Ayuk.
And the tiebreaker is me. And I don't like it because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to say Ayuk. And what's going to happen is it's going to be Ayuk's going to have the great game. Debo's going to have – actually, it's Debo. He's always going to have a good game. But I'm going to sit Ayuk as well. Just, again, I trust the opportunity with the targets, and I think DJ Moore does see that consistent 25% target of 20, which might not be voluminous, but it's there.
And he has been seeing it the last couple of weeks. I think he's had over 50 yards the last 2 weeks. So it's not quite to the level that we want, but it's not as bad.
Were you about to say it's no Sam Darnold level, but it's getting
there? Exactly. It's not far off.
Words I never thought I'd say. Thank you very much for the IDP compliments here. Yes, we have the stats here. We do our best, man. We do our best. Let's go now for the Browns. For the Browns, man. If I'm the Patriots, I'm as they say, Belichick likes to take away what you do best. So locking down this running game would probably be first and foremost their main objective. I'll flip over to IDP, then we'll go back to offense. That rationale for this week is why I like Grant Delpit as my defensive back starter here this week. Definitely has tons of upside, crowding the line of scrimmage, crowding the box, being able to get to this running attack, kind of helping to shut it down. Now, I say this week because, the Browns just acquired Dion Jones from the Atlanta Falcons, who should be a run stopper once he's up to speed. Mm-hmm. I think he just got activated off of IR, but he's still practicing, or maybe he's still on IR. Either way, he's not available for you this week, which is why Delpit, I think, is a good play. Anybody else on the Cleveland side as well? Myles Garrett, obviously. Is he playing, or is he?
Garrett should play. Clowney's out. Man, one last week for Jacob Phillips is this week if you want to. I mean, from an IDP standpoint, he's there, which is such a terrible way to explain a player, but he is on the field and he could be in line for, plays funneling his way, but I think that I'm not eagerly going to recommend Jacob Phillips or even, JOK, I'm comfortable more so just in, the fact that he's got the speed, sideline. I look forward more to him next week or the week following when Dion Jones is there and lets JOK be a little bit more of the position that he's best suited at, which is kind of a hybrid multi-role. And I think that's where they can utilize his skill set personally.
Got a question here from Anthony over on YouTube. Welcome, Anthony. Trade Dalvin Cook for Joe Mixon rest of season? Are we buying the resurgence or the surge of this Cincinnati Bengals offensive line, Jonathan? Or are you holding steady with Dalvin Cook?
I'm not sure. I mean, Mixon, he should be a lot better because he's seeing so much work, but the efficiency has just been so poor. So if you're buying into Mixon, you're buying into it becoming more efficient, and I'm just not sure with that offensive line. I'm really not sure. It's really close for me.
He's got another question here. Pick two: Dalvin, Walker, or Hall.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Why can you only pick two?
Yeah, I know that sucks.
Put one in your flex.
I have a flex.
Yeah, that's actually not horrible advice right there. That's obviously. Let's see here. We got here in between media. Seth, is that you? Seth Wilcock over there. Warning everyone. Hope you all have a great Sunday. You do the same as well, my friend. Half point, full point PPR, 12-teamer Myers greater than Pickens, right? look, Pickens has had the bad matchups, drew the bad matchups the past couple weeks, but he's still gotten at least like 10 half PPR points. So obviously that's more for PPR. And Pickett is throwing Pickens' way more often than not. This should be a blowout of a game. The question really is Tampa Bay going to kind of want to shut them down the entire game, or does garbage time play a role? Again, I thought garbage time was going to not play a role last week with Buffalo being able to kind of help shut down that offense for Pittsburgh. That didn't happen. Nate, what are your thoughts here?
If you look at the last 2 weeks, Pickens has actually had a 21% target rate. So he's, got the attention. But, man, even with the what are we calling it now? Surgence, whatever it is, with that combination between Pickens. I think Jacoby Myers has just a safer floor, and I trust their offense to move it a little bit better against Cleveland. I would go Jacoby Myers myself. What do you guys think?
Nate, I like your point. Am I on mute again? No, I'm not. Okay.
Nope.
I like your point, and I think to answer the question, I think it depends on what you're facing against your opponent this week, because I think Jacoby has that floor, but Pickens has that upside that I don't think Jacoby has. So, it really depends on your opponent and how you're projected to win. Pickens' floor is, half PPR, 9 points. So, I'd go Pickens.
Speaking of the – go ahead, Jonathan. You're about to say something?
No. I was going to say it's a very good point. I think it does completely depend on what your matchup looks like that week.
Mm-hmm.
But you need the upside.
We have another Myers question here. Myers, Dobbins, or Pickens in the flex? Well, let's talk about J.K. Dobbins. Tyler, what are your thoughts here? Is he somebody that you feel comfortable flexing this week?
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting J.K. Dobbins in our staff league, so yeah, I'm very comfortable playing and flexing J.K. Dobbins. Would I start him over these guys, over Myers or Pickens? I'd probably just start Jacoby Myers. He's been really, really good when he's been on the field, regardless of quarterback, whether it's been Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones. He's their number one. He's clearly their best option in the passing game. So, yeah, I'm comfortable flexing Dobbins. I would start Myers.
All right, there we go. Let's finish off this Cleveland New England game. I actually have a question here. George Edwards, not Jorge Edwards here. I have Kareem Hunt, Devin Singletary, and who else? I have Kareem Hunt, Devin Singletary, and AJ Dillon. Out of those three, who would you start in your flex spot?
Punt AJ Dillon off a bridge and go from there.
Fair enough.
Slightly harsh.
Slightly harsh.
Sorry, Jonathan.
It's quite right. I mean, I can go on for an hour rant about how Green Bay should be running the ball. I mean, last week was just silly. I mean, hopefully they do this week. AJ Dillon should get more carries, but whether it actually happens is another story.
Jorge, I already forgot your other two guys.
What's up?
I already forgot your other two guys.
Kareem Hunt or Devin Singletary.
Oh.
Man, so the one thing I'll say about Singletary is this is the opportunity that he needs to be, I'd say, relevant. And that's not intended to be mean, but as I mentioned, like last week, as I was saying, his usage when they're leading by more than, 3+ points, he's taken out of actually it's more like 7+ points when they're blowing out teams, and which seems to be the trend. He's not on the field. He's out. They're just saving him, which maybe is a smart move from a true football standpoint. Why not? Let's, everybody healthy. Their goal is the Super Bowl, not just and with the extra week, maybe it's not a bad thing to have more rotation, but this one has all the makings of being high scoring. He should be on the field the majority of the time. Holy hell. The Chiefs.
It's your team.
Hey, what does it say on your shirt, Nate?
I don't know. It's upside down. Hey, long night, early morning. The Chiefs aren't the best in stopping pass catching backs. And I'm not saying Devin Singletary is exclusively a pass catching back, but he has that prowess. So, Jorge, I would start Devin Singletary. You're not playing me or anything, are you?
I am not playing you this week now.
Then start Singletary.
I'm going Singletary as well.
All right, we got Q McBride question here. Let's get through a couple of these questions and then get back to these games. Dallas Goddard or Zach Ertz this week? Les, what are your thoughts?
Upside, I'm going Goddard. I like Goddard.
Jonathan?
He's consistent. I mean, what is he getting 8 targets a game as a tight end? Yeah.
Jonathan, do you concur?
I do really like Goddard. Personally, I would just go Ertz just because of how bad that Seattle defense is. I think, it could be another really high scoring game. Obviously Hopkins is still out, so I think he'll continue to see plenty of targets.
And for the tiebreaker here, Tyler.
I'm going Ertz here. I don't really want any part of playing the Cowboys defense right now. And let's enjoy the last week without DeAndre Hopkins for Zach Ertz. So fire up Ertz.
He's got another question here. Duvernay or Rondale Moore?
Oh, God.
Man.
Cardinals fan?
I'm a really big fan. I'm becoming a really big fan of Devin Duvernay. I just feel like whenever he's on the field, they find a way to get him the ball and get him. And he just makes plays. He's very Debo-esque in that sense. No, I'm not saying he's Debo. I'm just saying there's a lot of similarities in usage and play that I'm impressed with. So I would go Duvernay here over Rondale. Nate, who would you take here?
Oh, man, watching Duvernay last week was impressive. He really was very heavily utilized. He looked good with the ball in his hands, had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and there's not many others on Baltimore that even present that outside of Mark Andrews. Rondale Moore the last 2 weeks where he's gotten, been healthy, almost 20% target share, but I'm just going to lean Duvernay. I think there's a heavier percentage of the volume will go through him much more than the potential that could go through Rondale Moore. It's Eno Benjamin week this week, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
As we say with confidence, exactly. Last question, Diggs, Jefferson, rapid fire, Les.
Holy shit.
What?
I'm loving Justin. Justin's been cooking lately. I got to go with Jefferson.
Jonathan?
Yeah, Miami on. I think they might be dead last in defensive pass DVOA. So give me Jefferson.
And Tyler?
This is a weird question. Stephon Diggs.
Okay. Nate, are you going to tie this thing up and I have to be the tiebreaker here or what?
I don't know. I mean, I'll go.
Also, I really want to see this team.
I'm going to go Jefferson because I don't want Diggs to do good against the Chiefs or the Rams or whatever I'm calling them. How's that?
Fair enough. All right, let's go to our next game. We got the Jets. We got the Packers. Jonathan, let's go with you. Is Aaron Rodgers somebody that is even worth starting in leagues now? Is he, or is he kind of like one of those? Is dare I say this? Is Aaron Rodgers a bye week fill-in at the quarterback position?
He's he's a low end QB1, high end QB2 now. I think maybe I might be a bit biased and pushing him up a little bit too much, but he just doesn't look quite right at the moment. He doesn't seem to really trusting what he's seeing. They're not leaning on the pass on the rushing attack enough. So yeah, I don't really know what to do with him. I mean, I would, as I said, probably a low end one, high end QB2 for me.
So for the Packers offense versus the Jets this week, would it be outlandish for me to say the only players that I'm really trusting is Aaron Jones, excuse me, and hoping that Dobbs has a good week, or is Lazard now becoming a thing? What are your thoughts there as the resident Green Bay fan?
I think Lazard is kind of becoming the clearer number one. Obviously, he kind of dealt with injuries the first couple of weeks, and Dobbs is sort of thrown in. But in sort of two wide receiver sets, it is normally Lazard and Dobbs. Obviously, Christian Watson is out as well. So I would probably go Lazard 1, Dobbs 2. I think they're both flex worthy. But yeah, Aaron Jones is the one that you should be able to rely on.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker, Darnell Savage. He had a good couple first years in the league at strong safety. He's been kind of hit and miss the past couple of years. But Nate, the Jets are coming to town. They realized, hey, we have good running backs who can run the ball. Could this be a week that people are like, yeah, let me roll with the Darnell Savage and all that? You're muted. Yep.
Who are you? What the hell's going on with
Who are you? Are you Les now? Are you guys?
I wish I was Les. I wish I looked. I was that smart and good looking. Unfortunately, I have to get by.
Hey, come on, man.
Got to get by on grit and determination, kind of like Darnell Savage does. He doesn't grade out real well. Let's be honest. He's not having the best season as a whole statistically. But I mean, him and Adrian Amos both are, they're in the box about the same amount of times. Amos is up in the box a little bit more. You're looking for the bigger play from Savage, I think, personally. And I don't think the Jets are going to be the team that is going to be that option, which is crazy with Zach Wilson. But yeah, Breece Hall, I don't see a lot of the runs getting past that second line. I think Quay and Devondre are both good enough tacklers. I'll tell you the matchup I really want to watch, though, is Rashawn Gary against Elijah Vera Tucker. Because Elijah Vera Tucker now over the last, really 5 games, they said, hey, play left guard. Now let's move you to right guard. Hey, let's play right tackle. And he's done it, and he's been wonderful. Well, at least it's 1.5 game sample size, but he looked really, really good. And it's hard to say this Jets, karma is starting to go in the right direction. Everything's starting, playing for them well, which is good for everything. Everybody wants the Jets to do well, right? And that kind of everybody's a Jets fan, sure. But I do think that would be a fun matchup. Rashawn Gary is the nastiest pass rusher that doesn't get enough credit. And this,
thank you.
You're welcome. And it should be a lot of fun. I'm excited about that one particular matchup in this week.
He is dealing with a toe injury, I believe. So I think he's supposed to play, but LaFleur seemed a little bit concerned about it in his press conferences.
Good, because he was my fade of the week is Rashawn Gary because of that matchup. And hey, if I got to get a check mark or a thumbs up because of a toe injury, I'll take it in this crazy game.
See, Fantasy Dog is, first of all, it's been awesome on the chat this morning. Loves the O-line talk. Fantastic. You came to the right place. We got a question from Drew L. Oh, man, can you imagine if it was Drew Lock? That'd be so awesome. Pick 2 for my flick.
You couldn't beat Geno Smith out. Your questions are relevant.
Wow, there goes our one celebrity interview that we were going to get eventually, but no, not anymore. Thanks a lot, Nate.
Can you get us Geno, Drew? You think you can talk to Geno for us? Please.
Well, he doesn't call back apparently, so we can't get Geno on the show.
Good job.
Thank you. I do every once in a while. Pick 2 for my flex: Higgins, Dobbins, Lazard, Thielen, Hunt. Tyler, is Hunt being crossed off this list for you just because of the matchup against New England, or not?
So I think he's getting crossed off my list because of lack of ceiling. Like he's a good play. He's a good flex play, but when you're talking about Lazard has a high ceiling. Thielen constantly, he just always has that potential touchdown upside. I mean, J.K. Dobbins, you can do what he did 2 weeks ago and score 2 touchdowns. Hunt just doesn't have that ceiling. So I'd say he's off my list. Higgins is off my list because I don't trust that. If I'm picking 2, I'm probably going to go Lazard and Dobbins, I think. I don't feel great about it, but that's where I'm going.
What about you, Les?
Yeah, definitely Lazard. I was looking at this earlier. Lazard has spent the whole season on my bench, and all he's done is put up double-digit fantasy points. So this week he's in my flex, easy. And I'd go Dobbins too. Like Tyler said, he could get you 4, but he has the potential to get you, 15 easy. I don't see that with Hunt. Higgins injury, definitely not playing him. And Thielen, I'm just not liking. So.
Well, we got a question here from Chris. Warning to you, sir. Elijah Moore or DJ Moore?
Damn.
I like the Elijah Moore matchup. I do not like the Garrett. I know you're not asking, but I do not like the Garrett Wilson matchup. Rasul Douglas in coverage is one of the better. Excuse me, one of the better slot corners in the league. But Elijah Moore, Zach Wilson's got to throw to somebody, and I trust that. Wow, I never thought I'd say this day where I trust Zach Wilson throwing the ball to Elijah Moore than anyone throwing the ball to DJ Moore. Nate, is that crazy?
Is it crazy to say you trust Zach Wilson more than you trust PJ Walker? No, that's pretty sane and rational.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Now, if this was an XFL matchup when PJ Walker was with my beloved St. Louis Battlehawks, then maybe. Yes. Yeah, we have XFL talk as well. Fantasy Dog, just in case.
DC Defenders.
It's going to be like, what kind of show is this? Cover offensive line. Defensive line.
Yeah, you know what? Wait till the XFL comes back next year. Maybe we will do some XFL stuff. You never know. Okay, cool. Thanks, Chris. Were you done? Or are we going to keep going?
I don't know what my answer would be. I still think I want to say DJ Moore in this game for this matchup. Les, are you leaning, buddy?
Hey, Chris, what's up, man? I'm going DJ Moore. I like Elijah Moore, but he's just not getting the targets. He's not getting the production, and it'd be tough to put him out there if my fantasy week depended on it. I'd go DJ.
All right, let's go for the more Jets talk here. Breece Hall obviously must start. Michael Carter must flex or not? Jonathan?
Packers have been really bad against the run. I think there's something like 29th, 30th in defensive rush DVOA. They've got a lot of talent on that defense, but they just can't seem to get a scheme to actually stop people. So yeah, I think Carter is a worthy flex given how the Jets have been running the ball and how the Packers have been defending the run. So yeah.
All right, let's go to our next game. Jacksonville at Indy. Man, Tyler, let's go to the running back situation. I'm a big J-Rob fan. He had a decent game or decent first 2 games, and then all of a sudden he's fallen off the cliff. The Jaguars don't look as explosive as they did. Do you think this is a Travis Etienne game?
Yeah, and Etienne has been trending up. They've kind of – his role has slowly morphed over the season to in-space gadget guy to in-space gadget guy / running back to he's just a guy with the most juice on their offense, and they realize that, and they're trying to get him the ball more because that's where their explosives are coming from. So, yeah, if I had to pick between Etienne and James Robinson, I'm playing Etienne there.
Les, if you had to start one, Christian Kirk or Michael Pittman, who would you start?
Man, can I go Alec Pierce? I'm just kidding.
You can do whatever.
I like Pittman just for the big play capability, but that's a tough one, definitely.
Nate, if you had to start Dion Jackson and either James Robinson or Travis Etienne, would you?
If I had to start Dion Jackson.
So it's either the Indy running back or the Jacksonville running back. Who would you pick?
I'm going to pick Etienne. What Tyler was saying is his usage. Look at the last 2 weeks. It's really, shifted to Etienne. And it's odd, too, because it kind of coincides with James Robinson. The first 3 weeks, he was averaging, 1.5 broken tackles a game. And he hasn't broken a tackle yet in the last 8 quarters. And so it seems like that was always the pushing or the motivation to keep James Robinson involved, is he had the breakaway potential and he had that upside of, moving the line and getting yards after contact. He's not doing that. Etienne is, and Etienne's being more involved in the passing game. He's had 6 targets over the last 2 weeks, and James Robinson has only had 2. You're seeing that shift, and with the upside, ETN has that. We saw it last week. I mean, you saw a big run, and it's just that ceiling I'm going for, and I think the floor is even higher than Dion Jackson. As much as I'm okay with the Dion Jackson play. ETN for me.
All right, let's flip to the other side of the ball. Let's stay with Indianapolis here, or I should say, let's stay with Jacksonville. Aluakun. I like Rayshad Jenkins this week. I think he had a great game against the Colts earlier. I think there's some tackle upside with him crowding the line of scrimmage. Anybody else for the Jaguars? Maybe up front, Nate? Or
I love Trayvon Walker in this matchup. I mean, they have a specific right tackle who was a left tackle. It was the best part for the Colts. They said that, better suited probably on the right side. That seems to make more sense. And Perry had given up I don't even know, a few pressures on the left side and switched over. And now it's 13 pressures allowed over the last 2 weeks. And it is, I mean, Trayvon hasn't done much since week 1. We know that. But he's had multiple pressures in a couple different games. The last time they played, Josh Allen had 2 sacks going against that same offensive lineman. And now it's Trayvon Walker's time. And so I really think that there's a chance that we see a good game out of him. That's Matt Pryor, not Kelly. Ryan Kelly's their center. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So,
for IDP for the Colts, Zaire Franklin. There's no Quiddy Pay this week. In defensive tackle, specific leagues, DeForest Buckner.
Yeah.
I think I hit pretty much everybody that people should be paying attention to. I'm really sad about Kenny Moore not being more tackle heavy than he had been in previous years, so that kind of sucks.
Yep.
Let's answer a couple questions here. This one, I love DJ Duvernay. Flex spot, full PPR, Pickens, ETN, or Dion Jackson. In quote, my opponent has Jonathan Taylor, so kind of want to play him just for the disrespect. That is cold-blooded. I need to get that drop on my stream deck.
Absolutely, DJ, do that, man, please.
Jonathan, who would you pick?
Oh, I really want to say that. Wait, is it just one?
Yeah, it looks like
just one.
Oh, yep. I really want to say Dion Jackson, but I think I'd have to go ETN. Sorry to be the buzzkill, but yeah.
Tyler?
If I'm ranking them, I'd go ETN, Pickens, Dion Jackson. I'm not feeling Dion Jackson this week. I'm sorry.
What about you, Les?
I mean, it's full PPR, so you gotta you do gotta Pickens and ETN off of that. But also too, I mean, look what my guy Damian Pierce did to the Colts. I'm sorry, the Jags last week. So that rushing upside is there. I say, hey, DJ, go with Dion Jackson, man. Hey, and your name is DJ too. His initials are DJ. This is a sign, man. Do it.
Co-signed. All right, let's go to this question. This is
so out of my league. What?
Yeah,
so...
a 96 team league, 8 copies of the one team. I'm assuming total points, full PPR. Is there a question, or is this more of just him describing who's his roster here?
I'm confused. I'm out on this one.
Yeah, but just the fact that it says 96 teamer, that's crazy.
Well, he's telling us that he's starting Boone and Dion Jackson over CEH, Wilson, J-Rob, Michael Carter. And I mean I don't know if I would.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Start.
Yeah. Okay.
Boone, I would have a hard time starting over CEH, maybe J-Rob as well, simply because that Monday night, without knowing what Melvin Gordon's going to do, I'm probably not going to risk it. I'm just going to take CEH and hope for a high scoring game.
Yeah, I couldn't start Boone over Jeff Wilson, to be honest with you. I'm a big fan of what they're doing in San Fran. Let's see here. Going back here, DJ. And honestly, I just need the safe pick because I got a better lineup. He's got just a bunch of buys this week. See, you're feeding the fuel to the fire to even more start Dion Jackson this week. I love it. This is fantastic. Okay, let's go to our next game. This one can be relatively quickly. Dolphins and the Vikings. Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, see a good streamer this week? I think so. Anybody have any disagreeing opinion on that?
No.
Okay. Let's see here for defense. Zadarius Smith. Nate, Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter switching to being more of a standing up edge rusher versus a true defensive lineman, where he's getting his hand in the quote unquote turf or dirt, however you want to look at it. Do you see both of these guys as players that people can insert into their defensive lineman spot with confidence, or is it more the Zadarius Smith show here for Minnesota than the Danielle Hunter show?
Miami's been really bad against pass rushers. Now, here's a question that I have, and you guys tell me what you think from a football standpoint. You have the left tackle and left guard for 2.5 weeks that are conditioned to protect Tua, but he was a left-handed quarterback, so they're not protecting his blind side. So now you have the right guard and right tackle that are protecting the non-blind side. Do you think that shift in left versus right-handed quarterback changes what pressures we saw early? Because early on, Liam Eichenberg and Teron Armstead, I guess is their left tackle, were allowing a ton of pressures. And now it's kind of shifted a little bit. Is that simply a result of the handedness? I don't know that answer. And that's something that has intrigued me, because if they're just so pressure friendly, then that plays back, because Skylar Thompson's just going to get pounded. I mean, let's be honest, there's no chance. But is that something worth investing in, looking into? Or am I just kind of digging too deep? What do you guys think?
I think there is probably something in it, but I think they've also had a few injuries on the offensive line. I'm pretty sure is Teron Armstead not out as well. So I think it's probably a mixture of both that and on top of injuries, so that they're playing backups as well.
Yeah, and Armstead he hasn't practiced this whole week, so he hasn't been ruled out yet, but I think that's probably leaning that direction.
Okay. We got a comment here. Let's see here. I like you all just saying good stuff. Thank you, Fantasy Dog. Glad to have you on. You guys join us every week. We do this every week on Sundays. Got a question here for DJ Duvernay again. This one you're showing off, man. I'm sorry. I got another question. I got a trade accepted finally. I need to hear your thoughts. I traded out Hollywood, Edmonds, Josh Reynolds, received AJ Brown, Travis Etienne. No, that was a horrible trade. Go back and reverse the trade. Don't get AJ Brown on your roster. Don't get Travis Etienne on your roster. Horrible trade. I mean, you did fantastic. You did
Sell
fantastic.
high on Josh Reynolds. Yeah. Chase Edmonds is the hype's finally starting to catch back up a little, maybe the potential this week, but no, like it.
Very nice. Nicely done. Let's see for Miami. What's the name of the quarterback? Skylar what?
Thompson.
Yeah. Okay. So we're downgrading the wide receivers here for this matchup?
Oh, hell yeah.
Tremendously?
Yes.
So
I'm crushing Jalen Waddle. I'm burying him.
You're doing well. If you're doing that to him, you're saying Tyreek is going to be the primary benefactor here out of those two wide receivers.
Yeah, I think they're gonna focus in on Tyreek. He's gonna be the offensive game plan. I mean, Jalen Waddle's capable of it, but you just haven't seen it. They're not doing it. They're focusing the game plan on Tyreek Hill.
All right, let's go to Cincinnati and New Orleans. We talked a little bit earlier about the tight end position. Hayden Hurst, if you have the option to start him in your shallow at tight end, I feel really confident in his play the past few weeks and things trending in that direction. We talked about Joe Mixon. Jonathan did earlier about how the volume is there, but the efficiency hasn't been there. Well, now you look at a situation in New Orleans where, just James Winston was just declared out. Andy Dalton officially the starter. They have none of their starting wide receivers. They have Alvin Kamara, who hasn't looked Alvin Kamara. Is this a blowout? Is this going to be a blowout here, Les, you think? Or do you think the Saints have something that they can hang their hat on this week?
I don't think it's a blowout. I think the Saints defense is pretty tough. When they played the Vikings short with Andy Dalton, they played pretty well. I mean, they lose that in London by a field goal. So without their wide receivers, they might lose, but certainly not a blowout.
All right, let's see here. We got a question here. Jonathan, back to you. And then also Tyler. Hunter, AJ Dillon.
I think it might depend on the scoring system for me here. If it's half PPR, then I'm probably going Hunt there, I think. As much as I love AJ Dillon, I think, yeah, going Hunt.
Okay.
I'm right there with you.
All right. For the Bengals, for IDP, Nate, Henderson, Hubbard, Von Bell.
Yep. Logan Wilson.
Say it one more time.
Logan Wilson.
Obviously, linebacker. For the Saints, Pete Werner, Demario Davis, Cameron Jordan. Would it be in that order, or would you go Werner, Jordan, Davis?
Yeah, probably that second order, because I think Warner's established and must start. Not that Cameron Jordan's not. Cameron Jordan's having another really good season.
Right?
Dude is just a baller. I mean, for being, I say, a veteran, an elder statesman, he just gets it done. And I think he's kind of underrated, at least for the last 2 years, pushed him down because he didn't have the best seasons. And I was one of them. I was like, he's kind of getting washed. Look at that. He was already losing some snaps when they had Trey and they had Davenport, and he was getting more of a rotation. Now it's like he's pretty much he has been their one, and Davenport's been this year. I was way wrong on that. I thought this would be Davenport's year, but dude's got so many different maladies. Continue.
Well, let's get on to let's carry that topic over as far as defensive lineman rotation to our next matchup, Baltimore and the Giants. And let's go to Baltimore. Odafe Owe, he's starting, obviously. But JPP, man, he just keeps coming back. He just keeps being productive. Granted, he wasn't, I don't believe, playing a full complement of snaps last week. But versus this Giants team, is he somebody that could potentially be worth putting in there as your deal 3 potentially, or with deal 2 upside, or solid deal 3, or not at all?
I mean, I think that he's solid DL 3. I mean, he's played heavy snaps in the 2 weeks that he's been on the field now. Last week he did only have the 1 pressure, turned into a sack, but the week before he had the 3 pressures. And I think it's just indicative of maybe that up and down that we could see out of JPP. The matchup is above average against the Giants. I think that they have been exposed at times, but yeah, you're kind of flipping a coin if it's JPP or if it's going to be Oweh as far as who gets a sack. I don't know if they both eat. I think one or the other. JPP lower DL3, but startable in those formats.
For the offensive side of the ball for Baltimore, obviously Lamar. We talked about J.K. Dobbins earlier, and Devin Duvernay and Mark Andrews would be the people that you'd want to be starting there if you're having the option. Obviously, it depends on your roster and the scenario you're talking about. For the Giants, let's go back to you. Obviously, Saquon. Daniel Jones is an interesting topic. He had a really good game last week against the Green Bay Packers. Is this, as we like to say on the Shoot the Gap podcast, is this money or is this a mirage here for Daniel Jones?
Man, in one of my leagues, I'm like flip-flopping between him and Jimmy Garoppolo. So with that said, I'm leaning on mirage. I like Danny Dimes. He's got the legs too. So I don't, somewhere between money and mirage. I'm not putting him QB1, but I'm not really hype on him either. So I lean more towards mirage.
Jimmy G was my
that Ravens defense is sneaky tough.
Jimmy G was my play on our Fourth and Frames with me and Tyler this week. Couple interesting little facts for you. Mm-hmm. Not only the Falcons' terrible pass rush, you have no worry about Jimmy G having to be too concerned. Maybe that means George Kittle moves out a little bit more from an inline blocking position, maybe plays a little more in the slot, might see a little bit more targets. Atlanta has allowed the second most air yards in the NFL. They allow a 68.7% completion percentage, which is 5th worst in the NFL, or 5th best, depending upon which way you want to look at that. They've allowed the 4th most yards. And yet, despite all that, they have the 57% red zone touchdown rate for Jimmy G, which is below his his norm. So I mean, that actually has some regression potentially baked into it a little bit. So I'm leaning Jimmy G.
All right. For the wide receiver position for the Giants, man, if you for what you call it, for Fantasy Dog and his 96 teamer, if Darius Slayton is an option to start in your wide receiver spot, are you comfortable with that, or just fading all what Giants wide receivers here? Jonathan.
This is tough. He's a kind of lower end flex play for me. I think he was the kind of the best option out there last week. I think, as Les said, I think the Ravens defense is good. It should probably be a tougher matchup than the Packers last week. I mean, the Packers were playing so much off coverage; they were just leaving so much space for even someone like Slayton to eat there. So I'm happy-ish as like a lower end flex play, but I wouldn't expect it to be like last week. I think to me this is going to be another Saquon show. He's seen 18 touches in every game bar last week, and last week he had 15 and came off the field for a good percentage because they were assessing him for an injury. So I think it's going to be the same thing again with all those wide receiver injuries that they have.
Right on. We got a question here from somebody who is at a Buffalo Bills Kansas City Chiefs game that didn't buy us tickets to fly out there and join him in a parking lot tailgating right now. Somebody by the name of David Ibrahim.
I'm not answering it.
Where's the Australian guy? I don't know. He could be in Kansas City right now.
David.
David, can I do an Australian accent for you, mate? All right, let me stop, man. Hey, but for real, go Henderson, man. Hey, go Henderson all day, David.
Yeah,
it's a standard league. Zach needs a flex. David needs a flex. Excuse me. Zeke, Henderson, Juju. Tyler, what are your thoughts here? Zeke or Henderson or Juju?
I'm going Henderson here.
Okay, I think that's the consensus here.
And David has asked me to be the outside of Les's impersonation to be the Australian guy. And did you know, little known fact, Australia is the only continent in the world without an active volcano. And they have in Melbourne, Victoria is the largest Greek population in the world besides Athens. Interesting, huh? And there was an Australian man who once tried to sell New Zealand on eBay unsuccessfully.
Wow.
Melbourne always comes up as like the best cities in the world to live in and like happiest cities in the world. It's supposed to be an amazing place.
David left. Of course they're happy.
Love it. We got a question from DJ Duvernay. Last one. If you have more, man, just keep firing them away. We're going to be here as long as we need to. He's going to definitely be turning in every Sunday, by the way. Thank you very much, man. We appreciate that. Tight end, I got to stream our Hayden Hurst, Evan Ingram, Irv Smith, full PPR. I how do I phrase this properly without having any window in it? Give me Hayden Hurst. I like Hayden Hurst and what they're doing with him in Cincinnati. Les, what about you?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. It looks like Higgins is not going to play. We don't know that officially, but I like Hurst and Ingram, but I'm going Hurst on that.
And Jonathan?
Yep, the same for me. I think he's the most likely to see targets, and that's kind of what we want at the tight end position now. It's an absolute hellscape out there. So yeah, if you can get someone that's actually seeing targets, then you're doing well.
That sounds good. Let's go to Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh. Najee Harris, sitting them until they do something with that offensive line. I know, Nate, you're not even rolling your eyes. You're side-eyeing the comment, but has he given you a reason to start him besides draft capital where you spent on him in August? Nothing
at all. It's just you have Najee Harris or Dion Jackson, Tyler?
Dion Jackson.
That's gross. God.
That's like saying bench Kyle Pitts. Just some people just can't do it. Yeah.
I need to go take a shower.
He was on last night at the wedding. We were the adults at the wedding, which sucks nowadays, becoming not the kids partying as the adults watching the kids party. I know it happens. Yeah. We still partied. Don't worry. Good, but my daughter's boyfriend and his group are all playing fantasy leagues, and they come to Carrie for advice, but silently no one is coming to me. I think they do it just to spite me mostly and try to make me. But that was the thing. Kyle Pitts was on waivers, and 3 of them I was looking because I told Dion Jackson news. One of them got Dion Jackson, Daryl Henderson. I got MF'd a couple times for telling Noah the information, but Kyle Pitts is on waivers, and you have, the one guy had George Kittle, and he didn't have a great spot of anybody to drop, and he had to make a choice. You can pick up Daryl Henderson, or you pick up Kyle Pitts. You have one choice. You have one person you can pick up. Who you pick it up?
Henderson.
Isn't that
if
crazy?
I've already got Kittle, then yeah.
Let's say you don't have Kittle. I mean, the first person, the option is out there for any of the teams. I mean, it's like you don't know who you have. But do we think in week 6 we'd be talking about this?
No, that's a good side note. Everyone, go check your waivers.
Yeah. What's that, Les?
No, I was saying, I think 48 hours ago it's Pitts, but I got to ask y'all, what's the situation with Akers? I mean, does anyone have any additional info on is he trying to get traded? Is he done with football? Like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, he had that cryptic.
Still,
he had that cryptic Instagram tweet, I think yesterday or the day before. I don't know. The production hasn't been there. Maybe there was talk of shutting him down, but whenever you hear trade talk on one side for one other team, and then you hear another player kind of get quiet or make some kind of cryptic message on another team, makes you wonder whether or not there's something going on there.
So there was a report basically that just said there's been no bad feelings in the locker room, that it's more of a philosophical indifference between Sean McVay and Cam Akers, which tells me that Cam Akers has been playing like crap. He's pissed about it. Sean McVay is not letting him play, and he's kind of being a little bit of a baby, so he deactivated him. That's what I read into it. Wow.
Yeah, that's exactly what Fantasy Dog is agreeing with you there. Well, okay, fair enough. Let's go. Let's stay in Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh. Fournette. Brady's going to have a good game. Evans, Godwin. Are we getting back on Godwin and being a flex play yet? He's okay.
Yes,
absolutely.
Hell yeah.
He's seen 16 targets over the last 2 weeks, so he's certainly kind of getting back into the levels that we want him to be.
Very nice. And for Pittsburgh, if you had to start somebody, if you had to start either Deontay Johnson or George Pickens, is it Johnson automatically?
For me, it is.
Yeah.
For the floor, for me, yes. I mean, as I said before, he's still seeing double-digit targets most weeks. So yeah, I'm still going DJ for now.
All right, let's go to the beginning of our 4:00 slate here today. The Panthers at
hold
the
up.
Rams.
Jorge.
Oh, yeah.
Jorge, I've been waiting patiently for this question. Y'all ignored me in the chat. Is Mike Edwards playing?
In the private chat. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, safety for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Is Mike Edwards playing today? I didn't see a report that he wasn't playing today, unless there's something I'm missing.
So he went out last week in Atlanta with an elbow injury, and he's still questionable. And I got to make this move soon.
So he's got limited practice every day. He hasn't went from limited to full. I could see. So here's the concern: is they don't have Logan Ryan either. And I think if there's a chance that he plays, he does. They're out Sean Murphy-Bunting. They're out Logan Ryan. They probably need him to play as far as for a roster, but they don't need him to play to win the game. And that is not helping you in any way less. I would say that 3 limited practices with a limited practice yesterday means he should play. But what's your other option? So you have him, or what you thinking?
I mean, so he's in my IDP spot. So I can't even pronounce his name. The linebacker from Cleveland,
Jeremiah
Owusu-Koramoah.
Yeah, he's out there. So that's a safe pick. I mean, Edwards has been balling out, so I don't want to cut him. But that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I either play him or I cut him and pick up somebody else.
So let's see. Man, it's such tough to make recommendations. But we'll chat. maybe shoot over some of your options as far as what you may have available on the wire or sitting there to play. There should be something that's better than the 4 o'clock worry with Mike Edwards.
Correct.
Okay.
Agreed.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's go here again to Carolina at Los Angeles. Is this a get right game for Matt Stafford? If there ever was going to be a get right game, Jonathan?
It should be, but I mean, he's something. I think I saw that he had something like the 6th lowest average depth of target this year. He's just not been the Matt Stafford that we've seen the last couple of years. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Higbee has then been so good, is he's kind of getting those shorter targets. But it should be a better game for him against Carolina. He's probably kind of a high end QB2, I would reckon.
All right, so obviously you're starting Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee at the tight end position. For Carolina, for defense, Bobby Wagner. Is Taylor Rapp somebody that people? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you. So avoid. You don't need him in IDP. So and Aaron Donald for defensive tackle leagues, and even if it's just a defensive lineman league, he's an obvious start. Switching to Carolina, let's go defense then offense. I actually like Shaq Thompson this week. I think he's going to be somebody who's going to not just be used as a coverage linebacker. I think he's going to have some run stopping prowess to him this week. So I'm expecting decent things for him. Probably LB2, LB3. But screw it. I'm going to say it. I think he's going to give you LB2 production this week. Then we have, of course, Xavier Woods, but there is somebody else. And his name is eluding me, but
Brian Burns?
No, both Brian Burns is going to destroy this offensive line of the Rams.
Yes, he is.
He is currently, where do you have him ranked? He is my DL6, and I'm even considering bumping him up even more. Yep. To be honest with you,
I don't blame you.
No, but this is a
defensive back.
Yeah,
you're talking about for Carolina, Miles Hartsfield.
Hartsfield. Thank you. Can you tell people more about Miles Hartsfield, please?
No, I can't. I don't know much about Miles Hartsfield. I can tell you that he came in and replaced Jeremy Chin, and him and Xavier Woods have been pretty much the primary, safeties in that defense. How good of a player Miles Hartsfield is still yet to be determined, as far as I'm concerned. I haven't had a chance to watch a ton of him actually, be on the field. I've seen his name and I've looked at some of the stats and I said, oh, okay. You know what? Here, let's look at what he's done. And, really the past 2 weeks where he's played 100% of snaps, he's had 4+ tackles in each. He gets targeted despite being, a safety that's kind of back and forth. He plays in the slot in week 4. And then he played primary free safety last week, which is what we kind of probably expect going forward. But yeah, I can't recommend him. I mean, unless you're in the deepest of deep leagues where you're starting 4 defensive backs per the IDP Invitational from IDP guys, you have to start 3 safeties per week. That's 36 safeties. At that point, he's close to being rosterable, but still not up there. I love the hype for him, Jorge. We can say his name because if he has a big week, no one else is talking about him, so maybe we'll be able to say, yeah, we said his name, and go from there.
That's about all we can really say.
Yeah, exactly.
For Carolina, McCaffrey, and that's all I feel comfortable with, although last you brought up a very good point about DJ Moore and the target volume there being something that if there was an opportunity this week, could be there. Let's go to our next game, Seattle and Arizona. Fire them up, all of them. I mean, this should be a really fun, exciting game here. Defensives are just atrocious. So not for IDP, especially for the linebackers. Cody Barton had a rebound week last week with, I believe, his 9 total tackles. Jordan Brooks is, he's the heir apparent to Bobby Wagner there in Seattle. I'm not saying he's Bobby Wagner. I'm just saying he's taken over that role. They've been playing very well. Yep. Geno Smith has been playing lights out. It's hard to keep Geno out of my top 10 rankings each and every week. He just keeps on playing so well. Kyler Murray is Kyler Murray. Benjamin. We've been hearing this name. We've been talking about him during the show. opportunity is going to be there against a bad defense. If this was the game that Benjamin was going to become a household name, this could be it right here. Is there anybody else, guys, that I'm missing out here for this game that people should be either flexing or putting in their wide receiver 2 spot?
Rondale Moore.
Besides DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and you said Rondale Moore?
Mm-hmm. He's been highly involved. I don't have him super high in my rankings, but past 2 weeks, he's played over 80% of the snaps, some over 90. He's getting double-digit targets. So, you can't ignore Rondale Moore's opportunity and involvement. And the way they use him sometimes as a running back, as a gadget guy, as a space guy, you could see increased usage with their deficit at the running back position right now.
Fair enough. I'm getting blown up on my phone here by Mr. David Ibrahim because I didn't ask this other question. Also, 70% of Australia is barren land and uninhabitable. Look at the Australian information coming out today. Olave, Pickens, London, or Algier. Well, sir, the first one is not playing. So it's Pickens, London, or Algier.
From uninhabitable to unplayable.
Yeah. Yeah, let me go. I'm gonna go Pickens here. I'm swinging for upside here. I think
pick 2.
Yeah. Pickens in London.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Agreed.
There you go, David. Let's go to Nate's favorite game, which should be everybody's favorite game this week if the divisional round of the playoffs last year was any indication. Buffalo going back to Kansas City. What do I say? Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis. Is Isaiah McKenzie a sneaky player? Yep. Jonathan, you're nodding your head agreement?
Yeah, we saw Khalil Shakir have a pretty good game last week, kind of when McKenzie was out with an injury. McKenzie has been playing well. He scored 3 touchdowns over his first 4 weeks, and then he's been out with injury, but then should be back, I would guess, to kind of his usual target share. So yeah, you want pieces of this game. I'll be fairly happy to start McKenzie. Also, just a side note, for fans, NFL fans in Europe, I know a lot of people will probably complain that this isn't one of the Sunday night or Monday night games, but for us here, this is brilliant because it's actually at a time that we can watch it. This is like a typical regular season game that will be on at 1:00 in the morning. And so we couldn't watch it until the next day. So I'm very excited.
That's awesome. For IDP, Tremaine Edmonds, Jordan Poyer are household names or if you didn't realize that, folks, they are household names.
Tremaine Edmonds is he
not even playing?
No, he got a full practicing yesterday. Okay. He was trending iffy because he had limited practices, obviously missed last week. And I think last week's all those missed games or the people that were out were just building up for this matchup there. But yeah, Tremaine Edmonds and getting Jordan Poyer back is going to be really big for that defense too. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the first week they're going to have Tre'Davious White back.
That's right. So that should definitely, there's who's he going to guard? He can guard anybody and shut everybody down for the wide receiver core for Kansas City. And let's go to Kansas City. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. CEH kind of came back down to earth last week. There was always a concern about the usage not being there in terms of rushing attempts compared to his counterparts that were around him in his fantasy point rankings for the season. For both Buffalo and Kansas City, Nate, you talked a little bit about Singletary here earlier in the show, and we're talking about CEH now. Mm-hmm. CEH definitely RB1, RB2, and Singletary definitely flex, or is it more the CEH confidence you have versus the Singletary?
I have more confidence in Singletary over CEH this week. I think that both are RB2s. I think that both have RB1 upside because they both can have potential to score multiple touchdowns. And I think that's what, realistically, that's what both of them kind of are. They play in high scoring offenses. The touchdown upside is what helps elevate that floor. And they both have the potential we've seen of their offenses setting up situations where they can be productive on the ground as well. In this matchup, it's going to be, I don't know. I could see both being, like I said, I think that RB2 is where I'm comfortable with both of them.
All right. For IDP for the Chiefs, Jarius Sneed, man, he's just really, really good, man.
Yeah, I think he's a great player. He does everything.
Great for fantasy purposes. And Nick Bolton, obviously. Is Chris Jones somebody that we should always be paying attention to at defensive line, or is it more of a defensive tackle only spot?
I mean, probably so. He's better real football than fantasy if you have to start defensive line, because pressures don't count for points, and he's a gnat. I mean, it's hard to swat him away. You keep missing.
All right. Well, let's go to Marcos on Facebook. Half PPR, Eno or Kenneth Walker. Also Brady or Jalen Hurts this week. I'll go in reverse. Give me Brady over Hurts. I don't want any part of this Eagles team versus Dallas, even though obviously Hurts has the rushing upside. This one, I'm going to go Kenneth Walker. I just feel like the offense is clicking more in Seattle than it is in Arizona. Les, what are your thoughts here?
Man, that I like that Brady pick, but Hurts is just on.
I know.
Man, when the question first came out, I was like Hurts immediately, but then you actually kind of swayed me. I'm gonna stick with Hurts. I have him in like 3 leagues, so I gotta go with Hurts. Even against the Cowboys defense. And then I think Tyler brought this up earlier. I like that Eno has been in the system and has produced in it. Whereas we got that game with Kenneth Walker. He's obviously the better back, but this is his first full game as the starter, so maybe he's game planned against better. So I'm going Eno on that one.
So this brings up something where I'm curious if Marcos is still on. Who are his other running backs? Because I feel like you're just instantly making a decision between Eno Benjamin and Kenneth Walker for your RB2 when, I mean, they're both top 15 running backs this week. And guys with bigger names should probably be benched over some of them. Exhibit A is Najee Harris. You 100% play both of these guys over Najee Harris. But, I mean, Eno Benjamin by a hair. They're back-to-back in my rankings. You can't go wrong. Can't go wrong in the quarterback either. They're back-to-back in my rankings. They're 5 and 6, Jalen Hurts and Tom Brady. So it hurts, I guess.
All right, let's go to our next question here on YouTube. Kyle, I remember seeing you here before. Welcome to the show. Full PPR, Melvin Gordon, Henderson, Jacoby Myers, Pickens. Give me Jacoby. Give me Jacoby Myers. I'm going to be all in on the Billy Zapp or Zape or Zappy or whatever
Bailey.
his name is. Whatever. Whatever.
Put some respect on the man's name.
Exactly.
Win a Super Bowl, then I'll put it. Yeah, okay.
Was that Western Kentucky? Isn't that where he's from?
Yeah, Western Kentucky Hilltoppers.
Oh, Hilltoppers. I'm going Henderson.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I think I'd go Henderson. It's tough between Henderson and Myers. I think I'm probably going Henderson.
Les?
I like Henderson, obviously, with the floor for RB1, but he catches passes out the backfield too. So I got to go Henderson.
All right. Let's see here. Let's go. Next question here we got from Fantasy Dog. Half point, Gabe Davis or Aaron Jones? Or I guess he's saying Gabriel Davis greater than Aaron Jones. Jonathan,
Question
you up?
mark.
Oh, thank you. Wow, reading is hard today. Jonathan, what are your thoughts here?
Oh, I don't know. This is so tough because Gabriel Davis could have an absolutely ridiculous game. I mean,
against the
obviously we
Chiefs,
saw it.
there's no way he has a big game against the Chiefs. He's never named one time he's done that. Yeah.
This is really tough. Gabriel Davis is the upside play. So I think it possibly comes back to what Les was saying before about your matchup. If you think you're going to need points, I would probably you're maybe behind in the projected scores. I'd maybe go Gabriel Davis. But this is really close for me.
Let's go to Bob over on Facebook. Bob, I don't remember seeing you before. Welcome to the show. Aaron Jones, Christian McCaffrey, Raheem Mostert, Hollywood Brown, Gabe Davis, Chris Godwin, CeeDee Lamb. I swear to God, if these are all on your team, this is fantastic for you.
Why would they not be on his team? What? He's just picking random players. I wonder what they'll say about this.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a great collection of people that like
Mike
get on your team.
Randy Moss.
So why would I go? Yeah, exactly. Why would you not get good players on your team? Fair enough. Okay. Let's see. Your PPR need 5.
Okay.
Must be 3-2 either way.
Yeah, 3 running backs, 2 receivers, or 3 receivers, 2 running backs.
Thank you very much.
I've got mine.
Go, Tyler.
All right. CMC, Aaron Jones, those are the easy running back picks. You don't want to play 3 since you have Mostert. I mean, I like Mostert, but the wide receivers are too good. Wide receiver, Hollywood Brown has been top 10. CeeDee Lamb, I feel like I'm actually more comfortable starting Godwin in full PPR than CeeDee Lamb because he's just getting peppered with targets and they're going to destroy the Steelers this week. But I'm going Hollywood Brown. I'm going Chris Godwin. I'm going CeeDee Lamb over Gabe Davis. And Olave is not playing. Take him out.
What about you, Nate?
I am going to I'm making sure that matches up. I'm taking the same exactly as what Tyler is. Yep.
All right. And Les? Muted.
I went an hour without that, but yeah, same as Tyler on that.
All right, there you go. Good luck, Bob, this week.
Nice.
Let's go to our Sunday Night Football matchup: Dallas, Philadelphia. Yeah, man, this is tough for Dallas. You know, you're probably starting CeeDee Lamb because you probably don't have a better option there at wide receiver. But you know, for me, I'm fading Zeke. I'm starting at this point in the season Tony Pollard over Ezekiel Elliott. He just looks so much better. No Cooper Rush. You're not starting him. For defense for IDP, Micah Parsons dealt with a groin last week, but going against the worst offensive line in all of football, he had a groin injury, and then he got you a couple sacks and a couple tackles, and this guy's just a monster. This week, he's not going against the worst offensive line. He's going against one of the better, if not the best, offensive lines in all of football. So I think if that injury is still lingering, I'm leaning more DeMarcus Ware having not. Wow,
You're not.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Maybe,
Yeah,
wow.
you're leaning Reggie White and I want Lawrence Taylor, Ed Reed.
No, DeMarcus Lawrence. Excuse me. Thank you.
Yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is
Throwback fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Nate, let's talk about the safeties here. Let's talk about Jaron Curse. Let's talk about Donovan Wilson. Both after last week, we saw, Leighton Vander Esch kind of taken out of the equation in the run stopping department because they're running 3 safeties.
Right.
You think that's going to happen this week?
I think they'll want definitely more speed. They'll want as much speed on the field as they can. Because I think they're going to try to have somebody key in on Jalen Hurts. Because I think that's going to be the key. Jalen Hurts was a quote unquote fade of mine. Not that I think he's not startable, but I think like that Brady Hurts question from earlier was relevant because last 2 weeks, how many passing touchdowns do you think Jalen Hurts has? The over-under is 0.1. You want under or over?
Under.
Yeah. 0. He hasn't thrown. Now, he's done everything on the ground, but if Dallas has the speed to prevent, or slow down Hurts, I'm not expecting Hurts to not have a passing touchdown. That's crazy to think that. But man, I don't know if it's. I still only look at Wilson and Curse. That's the only 2 fantasy. From safety, I'm comfortable starting them both. Maybe, hopefully, as a DB 2-3 more than anything else. The rotation of Dallas is on the front on their defensive line is fantastic. I mean, it's wonderful. It's Dorrance Armstrong. It's, as you said, DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus Lawrence. Sam Williams, rookie, even had a great week last week. He's getting rotated in. They can't miss right now. And I worry that pressure up front is going to be interesting. Not knowing where it's going to come from as far as production, but it is. Yeah, Philly is in for that'll be, as Jonathan, as many games that you said, the Buffalo KC game. I think the Dallas Philly game is going to be just as exciting as a whole. Just a lot of people don't like it because people, Philly, people don't really like Philly and Dallas. I don't know if anybody likes Buffalo or KC either, but I don't care about those people.
Jeremy Noble on YouTube is asking, can I still draft Brian Westbrook since we're going Throwback Sunday? Yes,
You can. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, except worse.
Exactly.
He's got a question also. Henderson or Mostert, half PPR.
Wasn't Mostert banged up where like he was
concerned
for not even playing?
That's the only reason why I'd go Hendo. Otherwise, Mostert would be somebody that I would be all on board with. So yeah, that's Hendo for me. Everybody else have a same opinion? Okay, good. So for the offensive side of the ball, obviously you're starting Jalen Hurts. Are you starting Miles Sanders, Tyler?
I guess if I have to. I mean, Sanders is probably right around RB 19 for me. Like I was saying, there's just not a lot of good options at running back.
Yeah, I guess I should phrase it a little bit differently. Should you temper expectations for Miles Sanders this week?
Yes, I think the expectations always need to be tempered for Eagles running backs because Jalen Hurts is their RB1. He's taking all the touchdowns. He's not allowing them really to get it. And, Sanders is a really, really good player, but they split it up too much. So he can have a big game, but you need to temper expectations for that guy.
Then, of course, we have AJ Brown and Dallas Goddard. For IDP, for Philly, Nate, who are we rolling out with this week with confidence?
Oh, man, confidence-wise, that defensive line is tough to have confidence with any one specific. TJ Edwards, I'm comfortable as an LB2. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, especially in leagues that you can start it's a cornerback-specific league, he's kind of a cheat code because he's playing more safety role at the line of scrimmage than he is playing at a corner. And so he's kind of an elevated play. Who am I missing? Anybody else on that defense? I mean, you're muted right before you start talking.
I gotcha. We talked about a couple weeks ago Hassan Reddick having a blow up game. He kind of obviously came back down to earth, but a little bit. But I don't know. I could see this offensive line for Dallas isn't exactly like it was 4 or 5 years ago. So I could see him having some productivity there. But I'm more confident, like you were just saying, like for example with the TJ Edwards. All right, let's get to our last game of the week. Monday Night Football. Oh, so gross. Denver at the Chargers. Les, let's start with you. You were very pro Mike Williams at the beginning of the show. Aside from Austin Eckler and Justin Herbert, are those the three? Are you starting Gerald Everett this week?
Josh
Palmer?
I think Gerald Everett's a must start at tight end. I mean, he's been fading a little bit, but another game with Keenan Allen out, I'm starting him comfortably. I'm not a Josh Palmer expert. I'll pass the mic on that.
Okay. We also have some interesting breaking news right now. Apparently, the Rams are fielding trade calls for Cam Akers. I swear to God, if they do a CMC for Cam Akers trade, this is so not fair for the rest of the NFL.
They need to add something to that trade, like something relatively signiant.
The thing is, what draft pick was offered? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be a second that gets that done. To be totally honest with you,
multiple seconds, maybe. I don't know.
They have no reason if it's not going to be at least the second. Right. Because CMC is still really good. Say what you want about his injuries. A lot of people will say, "Oh, how can someone give up all these picks for a contract like CMC?" CMC's contract tradable. It is very friendly for the team that is getting him. The Panthers would take massive dead cap hits, $7 million this year, $18 million next year. So they'd be eating a lot of the salary because all of his money in his contract is mostly tied up in signing bonus and restructure bonus. So CMC would essentially be a $12 million a year player for the team that gets him for the next 3 years. And that is not a lot of money.
No. All right. Let's keep going here on the IDP side of the ball. If Nasir Adderley doesn't start here, Nate, you were pretty high on somebody in the IDP Fantasy Football Upside article. You mentioned him in your IDP waiver wire article. Can you go a little bit into more of this player?
Yeah, and I don't think there's an if. I think that's a coach's decision that Adderley's not playing. I think he's been relegated to the bench because Low Gilman is and has taken the playing time. He's done it in what appears to be in practice and in limited time as far as being on the field. And last week he got the start, played well, got the game-changing ceiling interception in the red zone. And the team, Brandon Staley, gave him the game ball, has been hyping him up so much. And then Brandon Staley is a good cheerleader. I hate to take a cheerleader's opinion from an IDP standpoint. He's going to always build it up after a huge, interception. But talk within the league is that within the team from the beat writers and everything is that his impact player can make plays consistently. And it's just something worth watching. He plays deep, so it's not a wonderful start, especially against a Denver team that, come on, we don't know what we're going to get. It wouldn't shock me at all if Denver just can't even control the ball and it's a Chargers-led game the entire time. That's one, Jonathan, I would sleep through. So you might be safe there. You don't have to wake up at 3 a.m. or whatever time it is to watch it. I don't even have any idea. That's probably way off. I'm sorry.
No, but I'll give that one a miss. I think I can watch it in the morning.
Yeah, you can just read the box score.
Yeah, it's funny. So normally, the games normally start like either the Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night will start at 1 o'clock in the morning here. So normally, when I wake up the next day, when I'm having a cup of tea and eat my breakfast, I'll sort of watch the game. The highlights. The last couple of Thursday night and there was a really bad Sunday night. I can't be bothered to watch this Washington Bears highlights. It's going to be like a 5-minute highlight. I can't be bothered to watch this.
Yeah, nothing washes down baked beans and blood sausage breakfast like the Seattle Indy game.
Have you had obviously, Jonathan, I'm sure you've had it, but has anybody else had a full English breakfast before ever?
No.
Dude, it is.
Nope.
It is artery clogging, fantastic heaven.
It's very good. And I would argue as well that so that's a full English, a full Scottish is even better or worse on that scale, whichever way you see it, because they will have haggis as
haggis.
well.
Oh, I knew you were going to say
man,
that.
I don't know about the haggis. I don't know.
Don't know what it is.
Speaking of
you probably don't want to know. It's a lot of bits of animals that you wouldn't normally eat.
Yeah. Speaking of something that feels like you're eating a piece of sheep intestines, let's talk about starting players for the Denver Broncos here. Russell Wilson has a shoulder injury, which is probably going to limit his deep ball throwing and accuracy. Yay. You may be able to find somebody better than Russell Wilson to start this week, purely based on matchup. Isn't it sad? The most interesting fantasy person here for the Denver Broncos is Mike Boone.
Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
You think Russell Wilson's going to be able to actually target Cortland Sutton and get I am concerned about everything revolving around this Broncos offense. Why should I care? Why should people care about Cortland Sutton this week, Tyler?
It's the wide receiver 12 in the year. He's their number one target by a lot. I understand Russ is somewhat injured, but how much worse can that make him?
I guess that's fair. But if you had to pick Judy or Sutton, it would be Sutton. Easy.
Sutton. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else Am I missing anything else for here? If Melvin Gordon does play, obviously you're starting him, but
I don't think obviously.
Really?
I don't know. I think that you're forced with the situation as you have to make that decision right now. What are you doing? Are you going to start? Are you going to let it ride? Because assume you don't have Mike Boone and assume you don't have that's it. There's no other option.
Latavius Murray.
Exactly. Ugh. I was thinking of anybody from the Chargers that you wouldn't be messing
Joshua
with.
Kelly, I suppose, is the other one
Kelly.
that you have on the.
Yeah.
Again, would you risk waiting to start Melvin Gordon to see what he does? Speaking of inactive or active news, T. Higgins is active. Kyle Pitts is active. Raheem Mostert is active. Damian Harris is inactive as we expected. And Chris Olave, of course, we know is not playing. So
I was just checking my my staff league team. I actually have this exact issue that you're talking about, Nate. So I have running backs. I've got Mixon and Gordon, and then on the bench I have James Conner, who's out, and Tyler Algier. So do I pick up? And who am I playing? Let me just check. Okay, it's none of you guys. It's fine.
Right.
Do I pick up Joshua Kelly to plug in tomorrow if Gordon is out, or do I just play Tyler Algier, or do I just hope that Gordon plays? It's I don't really know what to do.
Tyler, you're the running back guru. What say you?
Well, I say that I need to look at Jonathan's roster because I missed most of what he said, and I'm bringing it up right now. So
while you're doing that, let's answer a question from Edward here. How about that? Right. Godwin versus Pitt or Sutton versus the Chargers? Sutton versus the Chargers.
Oh, and he's got Tampa Bay heavy already with Fournette and Mike Evans.
God, I mean, I'd feel comfortable doing the whole Tampa stack. Les, would you, or would you want to diversify and go with Sutton here? Yep, this is learning to mute versus unmute lesson day.
Y'all got me again, man. I like Godwin. If anyone watched that game last week, and I know it was against Atlanta, but it was the way that Brady was targeting him in multiple places across the field. I'm going Godwin. And we just talked about Sutton with Russ not cooking. Yeah.
So Tyler, Algier or Melvin Gordon? Which one are you rolling with this week?
I'm gonna wait for Melvin Gordon. That
right.
Falcons running game is weird right now. They're giving carries to everyone and anyone that is listed as a running back. They're just randomly giving goal line carries to guys they're pulling off their practice squads. So I'll just wait for Melvin Gordon.
All right, Tyler, I have a question for you and Les and Jorge. Would you rather have the traditional Scottish breakfast, the haggis, or the Danger Witch? And you have to eat it with Russell Wilson.
Give me the Scottish breakfast. Not going near that.
I don't even know what either one of those are, man. But the Scottish one sounds cool to me. Like,
all right, so I looked up haggis. Doesn't look awful.
It tastes nice. It tastes better than it sounds. I will. My girlfriend's Scottish, and she has converted me to it.
Nice. And I lived in Kentucky for a while, and we had things called lamb fries.
Oh yeah,
that someone tricked me into eating. They're just sheep balls, fried.
Yep.
So give me their liver more than their reproductive organs.
Mother of God. Okay, let's finish up with IDP. No Josie Jewell this week.
Nope.
Alex Singleton.
Yep.
I think it's a good start there.
Great start.
Who else we got here for Denver here, Nate?
That's about it, really. I hate to say it like that. Justin Simmons is back. I don't think I would start him yet. Let him get acclimated back to that defense and get some play. The defensive line, Bradley Chubb had a great week, but it's hit or miss with him. He doesn't have the most consistent pass rush, and he hasn't been consistently getting to the quarterback. I like him in a pinch. It's bye weeks, of course, as we know. So, I mean, all of these options. Imagine that every person that is a flex or LB2 or a defensive line 2 before now has to move up a few spots because there's consistently at least 5 or 6 viable players at each position that are out this week. And so, but I don't know anybody else. I mean, maybe I'm missing somebody. I'm just not thinking. It is still.
I mean, Baron Browning had a good game last week, but
Baron Browning had a great game.
I don't know. I don't see the consistency there, whether I feel comfortable swapping him in and out. But Singleton
I like a lot. I actually have him real high. I mean, he's probably borderline LB1 fair, in all honesty for me. I'll look up and tell you.
Absolutely. And while we're doing that, just want to thank everybody who tuned in today to the Fantasy Football Pregame Show here at Fantasy and Frames. Make sure to head over to our YouTube page, subscribe. We have a We have a variety of podcasts where we're talking about dynasty or redraft or IDP or DFS. Our DFS, we got to give these guys a lot more credit here. Keith Fleming and Joe Matz have been knocking it out of the park with their picks. They put out every week their expensive plays per position. They put out their medium plays per position. They put out their bargain plays, and all these plays hit week in and week out. They do a ton of research. They do a really good job. Check out our Instagram. Check out our YouTube. Check out our Facebook. Check out our Twitter at Fantasy and Frames. All sorts of content, all of our content, rather. All these gentlemen here and the rest of the Fantasy and Frames family, we put out so much work. And we do it because we love it. We do it because we love fantasy football, and we want to help you win fantasy championships and have a good time each and every season. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for who participated in the group chat. To you gentlemen, good luck this week, except for Nate, because I'm taking you on in our staff league. So yeah, I know. But for the rest of your leagues, good luck. I guess I could say that. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Good luck this week, and stay tuned for our waiver wire articles dropping on Tuesday. Take care, folks.
See ya.
See ya.